Hello, everyone, and welcome back.
We are excited to have you with us. Today, we're talking about the Belgian Malinois.
This encyclopedia covers the essential facts about the breed, but also the practical reality, true character, demands, and challenges. But the final decision belongs to you.
Peter, I know this dog from more than just spectacular videos online. I have watched him work live on training fields. This is a high-performance working dog. For an active person who runs, hikes, or bikes, he can look like the ultimate dream dog. Add his uncompromising defense and absolute loyalty, and you have a truly brilliant animal.
And that exact mindset is why so many Malinois end up overwhelming their owners. A bike, the mountains, and some running? Congratulations. You have just built him the cardiovascular engine of an elite athlete. Meanwhile, his overheated brain is still searching for an outlet for frustration. What you call wonderful loyalty and protection in the day-to-day reality of a home without ironclad rules and mental work can twist into dangerous pathological reactivity. This dog simply does not forgive handler errors.
I understand that real life rarely looks like a polished internet clip, but we both know how much potential is buried in this breed.
Potential for destruction if you do not know how to handle that force. But what if you actually do know how? Then it is time to strip away the perfect filter and show people the real cost of owning a dog that never, ever hits the brakes. The cost of illusions.
Many people choose the Belgian Malinois because of his legendary intelligence. They naively assume that a sharp dog will understand house rules in an instant and be easy to manage.
In reality, the terrifying speed at which breeds like the Malinois or the Border Collie learn is the trap. They absorb your mistakes just as fast. If you deprive them of mental challenges, they will invent their own jobs. You probably will not like those jobs. They can methodically dig up your yard or dismantle your sofa down to the springs.
Controlling this genius is not about military drill, it is about enforcing a few simple rules: no begging at the table, controlled arousal at the front door, and the ability to truly settle and switch off on a dog bed.
But the devil is in the details. These boundaries have to be rock solid. Every person in the household must follow the same rules and leave the dog no gray area. Do you have the grit to enforce those rules with your family every single day?
Before we move into the hardest challenges, we need to go back to the roots. We have to examine the history and the physical and psychological profile of this dog. Without that foundation, his behavior makes no sense.
The Encyclopedic Baseline. The Belgian Malinois belongs to Group 1 of the FCI sheepdogs and cattle dogs. He was developed as a hard, uncompromising farm dog built for demanding work. He was expected to move fast, control livestock firmly, and defend the animals from predators and thieves. His genetics pushed him to react to the smallest change in the environment. Out in the field, he used his teeth to force movement and control. He could nip cattle quickly and painfully around the lower legs, forcing stubborn animals back into line.
By the turn of the 20th century, Belgian handlers and breeders began developing the breed in a new direction. The Malinois quickly became a legendary police and military canine, trained to subdue intruders with a deep, full-mouth grip on the arms or legs.
Today, that same old mechanism still matters. It helps explain why this dog reacts to movement far more sharply than most breeds. A sprinting cat, a jogger passing too close, or a speeding scooter can trigger his pursuit drive in a fraction of a second. An inexperienced owner may have no real way to stop it.
That historical background is the key. It explains why the body and mind of this dog can turn against the owner when they are badly managed. And that brings us to the physical and psychological profile.
Physical and psychological profile.
When I look at their athletic ability, I see an absolute force of nature. It is astonishing how easily these dogs clear obstacles, launch into a full sprint, and work at maximum intensity for hours. They look as if gravity and fatigue barely apply to them.
Exactly, Michael. But that athletic ability has a dark side. In a state of high arousal, for example, while chasing a moving toy or a decoy, this dog can physiologically block out pain. Adrenaline cuts off the warning signals from his body. He can grind his paw pads down to raw tissue, tear out a nail, or slam into an obstacle at full speed without slowing down for even a second.
So the owner has to become his missing survival instinct?
Yes. If you do not stop the activity yourself, he may drive himself into physical injury. That is a frightening thought. It raises serious questions about how you manage that kind of force inside a normal home. So let us break down the most important doubts. Hard questions before choosing the breed.
I often hear active people, marathon runners and mountain bikers, say that this is the perfect dog for them. They assume that since they already cover 15 kilometers a day, they can simply take the dog along and buy themselves a quiet evening. Does that kind of exercise not drain the excess energy?
That is one of the most dangerous myths. Running with a Belgian Malinois mainly builds his endurance. You are creating an even fitter athlete. For a healthy Malinois, physical tiredness is often not enough. Give him 30 minutes after a hard run and he may be back on his feet, demanding the next task. What he needs is serious mental fatigue. Obedience work, scent work, tracking, problem solving. It is the work of the brain that truly drains him.
Fair enough, but what about personal protection? A lot of people buy this dog because they want to feel safe. They imagine him calmly assessing danger and stepping in to defend the family during a late-night walk in a dark park.
They are dangerously confusing a stable, highly trained protection dog with a highly reactive animal. An untrained Malinois can trigger his defensive drive blindly and chaotically. Without rock-solid obedience, he cannot reliably tell the difference between a real threat and a screaming toddler, a passing cyclist, or someone who simply raised his arm too fast.
That brings us to another serious dilemma. A home with young children. I have seen viral clips of these dogs sweetly guarding baby strollers. It looks beautiful, so people assume they are natural family guardians.
This takes us straight back to prey drive. A screaming toddler running across the living room can look like fleeing prey to this dog. It can trigger the predatory sequence. The dog may start hurting the children, barking at them, and eventually nipping them painfully to make them stop. That demands immediate firm boundaries. In extreme cases, you have to physically separate the dog using a crate. But separation does not replace training. You still have to teach the dog to ignore the chaos of running children. If you fail here, you are inviting a tragedy.
So the cost of this choice is huge. You need eyes in the back of your head. Relaxing on the couch becomes a constant lesson in canine impulse control, where you hold the line and the dog learns that movement inside the home is not a hunting signal. What if there are already other animals in the house? Say someone owns a cat but dreams of bringing home a Malinois.
A fleeing cat is the ultimate trigger. Unless you run a slow, methodical desensitization process, an adult dog may hunt that cat with lethal results. There is no room for soft negotiation here. You have to teach complete neutrality toward the cat's movement. You only get there by removing the dog's ability to chase from day one. You use physical barriers, a leash, or a crate, and you reward the dog only for deep calm around the cat. The Malinois has to understand that the cat is completely off limits. The only choice that pays is to give up the chase and redirect his focus back to you.
This sounds like a full-time job, but most people work a standard 8-hour shift away from home. They live in apartments. Can this animal actually handle being alone indoors for that long?
Yes, but only if you survive the hard work of isolation training first. If you do not teach him how to switch off, this dog can fall into severe separation anxiety. He stores frustration and releases it by chewing through drywall, doors, and furniture. From day one, you have to build positive associations with the crate. Teach him that the crate is his calm shutdown space. Then gradually, without emotion and without drama, increase the length of your absences.
So when you walk back into that empty apartment, you have to be ready. After 8 hours, this dog may hit you like a freight train, demanding a job. That makes me wonder whether a beginner can survive this at all. I constantly see people asking whether a Malinois is suitable for a first-time owner.
Absolutely not, in most cases. This dog builds cause and effect associations faster than you can blink. He will map out your weaknesses before you even know they exist. He will figure out exactly how to manipulate you, whether through barking, pressure, or destruction, in order to get what he wants. He can force you to organize your life around his frustration.
If this cold, analytical breakdown is helping you understand what you're actually signing up for, subscribe to the channel. Hitting that button tells us that this raw, uncompromising approach helps you make better decisions. And we still have plenty of myths to crush, because this dog hides some of his most intense behavior in the details.
Surprises and misunderstandings.
I think the hardest reality check for new owners comes when they encounter the shadow behavior. People expect a tough, independent police dog, and instead they get an animal glued to their hip. Saying you lose your privacy is an understatement.
It is a major problem in everyday life. The Malinois lives in a state of constant handler scanning. You stand up, he stands up. You walk to the kitchen, he follows. You go to the bathroom, he patrols outside the door. That is not love. It is pathological dependence and obsessive focus on work. He is simply waiting for the next command. You have to deliberately create distance, send him to his place, block his access to you when necessary. Teach him that your movement does not always mean he has a job to do.
And what about the constant biting? I see endless posts from desperate owners with bruised hands and torn clothes. Puppies of this breed are basically land sharks. They really do think with their teeth.
Exactly. The mouth is their main tool for interacting with the world. A puppy will try to grab your hands whenever his arousal spikes. You will not fix that by screaming or jerking him around. That only fuels his fight drive. You have to work coldly and calmly. Teach him to disengage. Mark the wrong behavior with a short verbal correction, end the interaction, and immediately redirect his mouth onto an appropriate toy, such as a tug toy.
Another thing that completely throws people off is what happens when the dog is extremely tired. A normal dog settles down and sleeps. A Malinois can go the opposite way. It looks like a toddler melting down because he is too tired to sleep, so he starts destroying the room instead.
The lack of a natural off switch is one of this breed's curses. An overstimulated Malinois will not necessarily lie down on a bed. He may pace around the house, bark, chew the leash, and crash into furniture. The solution is to lower environmental pressure. You send him to his safe space, usually a crate. You remove the burden of decision-making. But that only works if you have already taught him that the crate is a deep relaxation zone.
That split-second reaction speed and combat readiness also show the difference between a Belgian Malinois and a German Shepherd. There is a well-known comparison in the working dog world. When a German Shepherd sees something strange, he looks at you first, reads your assessment, and then reacts. A Malinois reacts first, charges in to check what is happening, and only reports back to you afterward.
And that core trait destroys another huge illusion. Many people assume that if they warmly greet a guest at the door, such as an aunt or uncle they have not seen in months, the dog will read the situation, accept the person as a friend, and lower his guard. With this breed, relying on that kind of social cue is Russian roulette.
The Malinois nervous system does not care about your smile or your intentions. If that guest moves too quickly toward the baby stroller, the dog's protective response may explode in milliseconds. His physical reaction can simply beat your intervention. Handling this requires strict training protocols, not faith in the dog's ability to read the room.
The solution is a non-negotiable entry ritual and strict management of space. When guests arrive, you physically prevent the dog from controlling access to people, children, or key areas of the home. You put him in a crate or send him to his place. The guest must treat the dog as if he does not exist. No eye contact, no talking, no reaching out. You control the room completely. The Malinois may approach and investigate only when you give a clear release command. Until then, the stranger is invisible.
Another detail we have to address is physical health, especially those spectacular jumps. We see dramatic clips of dogs catching a disc high in the air and landing hard on solid ground. They look indestructible, but the orthopedic reality is brutal.
That is a fast track to damaging the musculoskeletal system before the dog even reaches 4 years of age. The forces hitting the joints during those landings are severe. Repetitive fetch can be just as damaging because it forces violent stops, turns, and accelerations. If you want your Malinois to reach old age without falling apart, you limit repetitive throwing and replace it with long tracking sessions, structured scent work, or low-impact water work.
All of this paints the picture of a dog that demands far more than casual knowledge. He requires intense analytical management every day of your normal life. So let us lock down this profile and be brutally honest about who this dog is actually for.
Summary. The Belgian Malinois is an unrelenting machine that does not know how to idle. He is not a casual family pet that will nap under the coffee table after a walk. He is a separate, demanding project that can reshape the next 10 to 15 years of your life. He will force you to become sharper, more consistent, more assertive, and physically stronger.
So who is this dog actually for?
The ideal handler is someone with a stable, analytical mind who sees training, self-discipline, and strict management of drive not as a chore, but as a passion. This is someone who finds real satisfaction in enforcing household rules, controlling the dog's impulses, and living through the demanding process every single day, not someone looking for an easy companion.
Before we wrap this up, Peter, it just hit me that we have not said enough about the younger members of the household. How does this dog function with children under the same roof?
This breed has a powerful magnetic intensity, Michael. Working with a Malinois can pull the whole family in. When a teenager takes the leash and runs the dog through an obstacle course under careful adult supervision, that teenager can feel a huge sense of pride. But we have to be brutally honest. Beneath that teamwork is a dog powered by strong defensive genetics. If an unusual stimulus triggers him, the child's control can shatter in an instant. The dog may completely ignore the child and make his own decision to react.
Does that mean the adult always has to be the final safety barrier?
Absolutely. You cannot rely on a child to manage this animal in a critical situation. An adult must be present, alert, and ready to step in. That adult authority is what may prevent the worst-case scenario from unfolding. But if you assume the dog and the child have a perfect safe harmony and leave them unmanaged, you are paving the way for tragedy. You are the real safety net.
I have to ask it again. Can a complete novice, someone with zero working dog experience, realistically handle a Malinois?
A lack of experience does not automatically disqualify you, but only under one brutal condition. You must leave your ego at the door and replace it with absolute humility. You will need to travel, attend serious training seminars, learn from qualified working dog professionals, and understand how to manage pressure, distance, arousal, and drive. If you think you can figure this out alone through trial and error, this dog will break you.
The final decision rests entirely with you. You have to decide whether you're ready to accept the discipline, structure, and heavy daily work required to handle this dog safely.
Building this level of control and cutting through the noise takes hundreds of hours of work. If you appreciate our unfiltered breakdown, please subscribe and consider supporting us by buying a virtual coffee at buymeacoffee.com through the link in the description. Every gesture like that helps keep this raw, honest documentary series alive. We also want to hear from you. Share your own experiences with the Malinois in the comments below. Your real-world stories are exactly what our viewers need when making the final, fully informed decision.